Alright, we got a box here from Vipdrive. I'm assuming it's pronounced Vipdrive and not Vipdrive, but I've been wrong about other things before, so your guess is as good as mine. Let's crack it open and see what's inside. There's how the bike comes packaged inside the box. We've got a couple of extra boxes here. Let's crack these open and see what's inside. Okay, that's our seat. In this box we got our toolkit. A bell. Looks like a headset cover. This is our seat post. Pedals. Charging cable. Let's see what kind of charging cable we got here. It is a 2-amp charger. User's manual. Axle. Warranty card and instruction manual for cruise control. Even more goodies tucked away down there. We got a bike lock, pump, and a phone holder. Alright, before I take a ride down the trail, let's take a walk around the bike and I can show you what we get. And I can point out a couple of things that I really don't like about the bike before I've even ridden it yet. And the first thing is this seat post clamp right here. These seat post clamps are notoriously bad. The last time I rode a bike with one of these seat clamps, I just could not get it tightened down enough. And I actually had to replace it because the seat just kept sinking on me. So, it's this style knob here. It's a twist knob, and I've always had to hit these things with pliers to get them tight enough to hold my weight to keep the seat from sinking. And sometimes you strip them out. The last time I had one of these, I ended up just stripping it out from too much force and had to just take this seat clamp off and replace it with something else. Other than that, the other thing I don't like about this is that they've put this ridiculously high quill stem here, and they've got some adjustment here to be able to raise the handlebars, and they've got rise on the handlebars, so it makes for an incredibly high handlebar set, which is okay, I guess, but I really don't like that this is about as low as I can go. And with this being a quill stem and with all of this leverage being shifted up, quill stems are notoriously easy for being able to knock them out of alignment, and when you've got this leverage up top, it makes it even easier to knock the thing out of alignment. So I feel like they built this without any real design plan in motion. They just built it out of what they had lying around that was cheap. Other than that, the bike seems okay. We've got a kind of a smaller frame for a 26-inch bike, but it's technically a step over frame, but you've got a spot here where you've got a lower spot that you can kind of step through, so it makes it a little bit easier to mount the bike. We got a 48 volt battery, 7.8 amp hours. That's not very big for a 48 volt battery, but it's not a very big bike. If you're not going to go very far, this should be okay. We're going to do a 14-mile ride today, and I'm going to see how much energy we've got left in the battery after we're done, so that should give us a good idea of about how far we're going to be able to go on this bike. Down here we got a plastic chain cover, so you don't got to worry about getting grease and stuff on your pants. Plastic pedals, 7-speed gearbox, Shimano tourney derailleur, steel tube rack, metal fenders front and rear, standard e-bike headlight. Hey, this is me fast forwarded in time here because I think on the original walk around I forgot to mention the headlight and the tail light, or at least show it. So to turn the headlight on, you hold the plus button on the control screen, and that turns the headlight on. That's what that looks like. Tail light back here, and it also functions as a brake light. Hopefully I can show you that. Really basic plain Jane controls, 3 levels of pedal assist, basic suspension forks, and there's no adjustment on these forks. We got 160 millimeter disc brakes, and they are line driven. Again, 160 millimeter disc brake in the back, and we've got appears to be a 500 watt motor. I don't know if that's 500 watts peak or 500 watts nominal, but it says 500 watts on the motor here. 7-speed Shimano shifter, cheap bell, and quarter twist throttle. And finally, we've got a basic plain Jane seat, and it seems to be fairly comfortable with some decent padding. I've seen wider, but I've seen a lot worse as well. All right, here we go down the trail on the Vipdrive Urbanite 1.2. See what she's got. We are going to start out in pedal assist level 0 first, and just pedal under my own power. And this thing is geared for takeoff for sure, because we're capping out at about 9 miles per hour here under my own power. Let's go up into pedal assist level 1. It's not really giving us much in pedal assist level 1. I think I was out pedaling it with the gearing that we have. It did get us up to 11, so a little bit more. Pedal assist level 2. Okay, that's where I can feel a little bit of power kick in. Taking us up to about 13 miles per hour. 13.2 on the built-in speedometer and 12 on GPS. And level 3. Oh, level 3 is feeling pretty good. That's a nice amount of power kicking in. Looks like we hit 22 miles per hour and it dropped off after that, and I am straight up ghost pedaling with the way this bike is geared. So I'll pedal out of habit, but I might as well just be using throttle on this one. Let's do a brake test. Oh, not very good braking at all, but to be fair, they are not bedded in yet, so I will report if they get better as we ride along. Taking off in pedal assist level 3 from a stop, it's got some nice, decent, peppy takeoff, so I can't complain there. So that's basically it. That's pretty much everything about this bike. It is definitely not anything to write home about, but I think on the upside, it is a fairly cheap bike. So you probably get your money's worth. All right, so the only thing I can do now is a range test. I'm going to ride a little over 7 miles down, do a little hill test. I don't imagine this is a hill climbing beast, but we're going to do it anyway. And then we're going to ride a little over 7 miles back. So we should fall short. We should fall just short of about 15 miles on this ride, and I'll see what kind of range we get out of this bike when we get back. So I will say this is a very comfortable ride. As weird as these handlebars are and the way that they're positioned, it does make for a really comfortable ride. A dorky looking ride, but a comfortable ride for sure. And the seat, I was selling it short on the Walkaround. This is a pretty comfortable seat to ride on. I'm pretty impressed with the seat padding. Normally, I would say that you're going to want a wider seat for really long rides, but with this bike having a 7.8 amp hour battery, the bike is just really not made for long range rides, so I think this seat is going to be quite adequate for most people. One more good feature about this bike is that it does have cruise control. I'll show you how to set that now. So we're going to take off and get up to our top speed of 20 miles per hour. Normally I don't ride bikes like this at 20 miles per hour for our range tests. I'll try to aim for like 15, 16. But with this bike having 3 levels of pedal assist, the pedal assist level 2 is like 12 miles per hour cap. So I want to go a little bit faster than that. So we're doing it at our top speed. Anyway, as for the cruise control here, I've got up to our top speed of 21 miles per hour. Now I'm going to hold the minus button on the controller. And our pedal assist level changed to a flashing P. So now I can let off, I'm not pedaling, and the bike is just maintaining its top speed. Now I'm going to try it in pedal assist level 2. I'm holding the throttle, holding the minus button, and the P is flashing. So if I let off, yep, that's holding 12 miles per hour under cruise control. So that's how cruise control works. So normally when I do these range tests, I do them at like 15 miles per hour. This bike in pedal assist level 2 doesn't go up to 15 miles per hour. And in pedal assist level 3, it goes up to like 20, 21 miles per hour. So we're going to do this range test at 21 miles per hour because 12 is just a little bit too slow for me on this trail. I will be slowing down if I encounter any pedestrians. So yeah, we're going to do this range test at 20, and when I get back at just shy of 15 miles for range, we're going to see what our battery life is sitting at. I don't expect much with this being a 7.8 amp hour battery. I have noticed that the brakes are starting to get a little bit better as I've bedded them in. They're still not great, but they are definitely better than the first time I used them. They're adequate for stopping this bike on trails like this. You know, when you get up to 20, 21 miles per hour and then want to slam on the brakes, are they adequate then? They're a bit sketch when it comes to that. So I will say I am digging this cruise control. This bike is really not geared for pedaling. I mean, you know, you can get some exercise on this bike if you turn pedal assist completely off, but I feel like the pedals are pretty much just a formality. They are geared really short, and once you get past, say, 13, 14 miles per hour, you're just ghost pedaling on this thing. So if you want some exercise, you're going to have to shut the power off on this bike. And if you're riding at top speed with pedaling, you're just going through the motions. So the cruise control, very fitting for this bike. And for a nice casual ride like I'm doing today, I'll take it. Okay, so we are at exactly 7 miles on this ride. I know that for a fact because I've done this ride many, many times, and this sign right here is the 7 mile mark for the ride. Yeah, so if we look at the other side of the sign, it shows 7 miles to get back to where we started at. The bike is showing 8.1 miles on the built-in speedometer, so the odometer on this thing is definitely not accurate. It's showing that we've gone an extra mile when I know we haven't. Also, as I was coming up here, the battery meter dropped down to like 1 bar. As I stopped, it came back up, but I can tell you right now, the battery is not going to be But I can tell you right now, the battery on this thing is not made for range. When I got to go down and do the hill test for this bike, which isn't going to be a spectacular hill test, and then I got to turn around and go back. I don't think I'm going to have the battery to make it back at full speed, so what I'm going to do is pedal under my own power to the hill, then we'll do the hill test, and then as I go back, we'll ride back in pedal assist level 2 at 12 miles per hour, and hopefully that'll give us enough battery to make it back. But like I said, this is definitely not a bike that is built for range. So as I ride down to the hill, I'm riding in pedal assist level 1. I'm actually out pedaling pedal assist level 1, so I am getting some exercise on this bike. I am going to pop up to 2 for just a second to see what the pedaling is like. And I'm still getting a little bit of resistance in the pedals, so in pedal assist level 2 at about 11, 12 miles per hour, you can get a little bit of exercise. All right, here is our hill. It's not much of a hill. I'm going up into pedal assist level 3, throttle only, and we're going to climb this hill. And I think the fisheye on the camera lens makes it seem like even less of a hill, but trust me, there is an actual hill here. And in pedal assist level 3, throttle only, it's going up the hill no problem. If you encounter any steeper hills, just go into a lower gear and pedal, and you'll make it up the hills no problem. All right, so now I'm going back, and like I said, I don't think I have the battery to make it back at full speed, so I'm dropping down into pedal assist level 2, and we're going to go back at about 13 miles per hour. All right, so my final thoughts on the Vipdrive Urbanite 1.2. It's a cheap bike with a cheap price and cheap components. If you keep your expectations within the realms of reality, you won't be disappointed. But if you're expecting an $800 bike for like around $400, you're going to be wildly disappointed with this bike. Other than that, it's okay. It's okay for the price. That's my final verdict. It's definitely got, how shall we say, some economic design decisions. And that is to say, they cheaped out quite a bit. And the battery life is a bit disappointing. So you can get a 36 volt bike in this price range with like a 13 amp hour battery that will not have as much oomph. It won't have as much get up and go, but it will cap out just shy of the same top speed, and you'll have a lot more range. So personally, that's how I would spend my money, because I care more about range than I do top speed. But if you want that like quick get up and go and that just taking off oomph, this is going to be a better buy for you. But if you want the range, go with a 36 volt bike with a bigger battery. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, but be sure to stick around if you want to see the results of the final range test on this bike. All right, at this point, we've got 3 miles to go to get back to the beginning of the ride. We're hanging on one bar, and I had to really drop the power down to get it to limp along this far. So we're going to continue on the next 3 miles, but I think as slow as I'm going, it's going to make it back without any problems. All right, final range check-in. I weigh 200 pounds. I rode 16 miles today. This says 17.6, but I know for a fact that that is 8 miles down there and 8 miles back to that hill. So going down, I blew through the battery pretty fast, riding at 20 miles per hour, and coming back, I rode at around 12 miles per hour, and it felt like a slog coming back. But that's where we're at for the final battery range, and that's all she wrote. Thanks for watching. See you next time.